We're talking about SEC matchups for week 5. Jake, last week I went 3-8-1. Not my best. You went 3-3-1. That brings my total to 13-19. You're at 19-11. So hopefully they're following your plays because you're the one hitting, and it's time to continue fading me. This one starts off with Texas A&M and Arkansas. Arkansas is +7 neutral site game. I think it's in Jerry's World. Now, last week, I didn't care how good LSU was and how sloppy Arkansas had been playing because I saw 17.5 points in a rivalry game and I slammed it. Now, it was way too many points. I turned out to be right. This week, I'm kind of feeling the same way. KJ Jefferson went for almost 300 total yards, and the defense just wasn't strong enough to win it in Baton Rouge. In 4 out of the last 6 meetings with A&M, the final score was within 7 points, and last year it came down to 2 with a 23-21 finish that you and I both thought that they were going to win because they had momentum leading up to that second half, and KJ fumbled going into the end zone. A&M's way better than this year than they were last year, but the reality is Arkansas's lost 2 of their last games because of stupid penalties and undisciplined mistakes, which I don't think is going to continue. I think they're going to finally figure it out. So I'm going to take a pissed off KJ Jefferson, who's desperate to win, and I think they're going to be able to keep this one within 1 score again this week.
There's a big rivalry at play here. Maybe not necessarily between Texas A&M and Arkansas, but between Bobby Petrino and Arkansas, the former head coach at Arkansas, now the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. And you know that Sam Pittman's going to be talking to his team, saying what a bad guy he is, what he did to the program, and you know that they're going to want to get out and get after it for that. But at the same time, maybe Petrino's got some feelings towards Arkansas, and he's going to want to beat him down. I kind of lean with you, and I like Arkansas on this spot. I think that KJ Jefferson's too good at quarterback, and I was not very impressed by Texas A&M last week against Auburn. Their offense did not look particularly that impressive to me. I'm riding with the Hogs.
Yeah, Auburn just looked really bad, which made them look a lot better. Next up is Florida at Kentucky -1. This one opened at 3. I took it at 3. Now it's moved to 1. And what are you thinking here?
I'm a little surprised the line is moving so heavily towards Florida. It's as if people see that little 22 next to Florida's name and say, they're the ranked team and I can get 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. Sign me up. But usually when things seem too easy like that, they usually are. And I love taking the opposite spot. I love taking a home favorite against a road ranked underdog. Kentucky is the first case we have that this year. We tracked it for college basketball last season and it hit at an insane rate. On the other hand, when you're looking at the actual stats and how the game plans out this year, I still like Kentucky. Their defense has been outstanding. They have one of the best rush defenses in the entire country so far. They have yet to allow an 100-yard rusher on the ground, and they have multiple turnovers in 3 out of 4 games. Florida, their offense is very heavily skewed towards the run game, and on Graham Mertz avoiding what he did at Wisconsin and turning the ball over a lot. Leary, the quarterback at Kentucky, has been a pretty good game manager, very serviceable in his replacement of Will Levis. Kentucky has won this game back-to-back years, so Florida's probably going to want to fight, and they want that win. But they were sloppy last week. They beat Tennessee, but again, you and I have said we weren't super high on Tennessee, and we thought they were a little overrated this year. So I'm riding with the home favorite against the road underdog that's ranked, and I'm riding with Kentucky.
Yeah, we did that for college basketball. Like you said, I think it was hitting at 80% in December or January. We were making a ton of money off of it. So hopefully it carries over to football. Like you said, the line movement's sketchy, and that's why I had to jump on it right away. Kentucky's QB is more trusted in my mind than Mertz is, and they're only 1 win away from getting to 5-0, which would make them a ranked team. So I'm not going to fade Kentucky at home. It makes sense to me. I'm on them with you. LSU at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is getting 2.5. This will be a night game. It's a pretty good environment for them. Ole Miss didn't show up for me last week. Their offense was completely lethargic. They did not cover against Bama, but neither did LSU at home against Arkansas. Quinshon Judkins only went for 4 yards a carry, and I think he only had like 50 yards total. And Zachary Franklin, who's supposed to be their star receiver this year, only had 1 catch. And the bottom line is, the stars that needed to show up and make plays just didn't get it done. Jackson Dart remembers the beatdown at LSU last year, and outside of the Bama game, he's been pretty damn good with a 6-to-1 TD to interception ratio, and he's been running for, I think, 5 yards a carry every time he's got to pull it down. So I liked LSU before I saw the spread and thought this would be a good spot for him, but this line is questionably low, and it really makes me look for an excuse to take Ole Miss, so that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, LSU has been pretty good ever since they lost to Florida State. I know last week they didn't beat Arkansas by the 17-point spread, but I think that line was a little bit disrespectful to Arkansas. Brian Kelly's teams play very well after losses, and they're still close up to a loss. I think he's going to get them fired up, especially with how vulnerable Alabama has looked this year. The SEC championship game appearance is firmly within their grasp. They can just go out and take care of business. This is going to be one of their toughest games on the schedule, but I kind of like LSU.
Next is Georgia at Auburn, minus 14.5. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, Auburn has been not very good this season, to put it lightly. They were really, really bad last week against Texas A&M. They played Cal earlier this season. Nothing special. They've only scored under 25 combined points against those two opponents. Georgia also not been particularly that impressive this season. Even though they're 4-0, they're 0-4 against the spread. And now this is Carson Beck's first true road game as quarterback, and he has to go between the hedges at Jordan-Hare Stadium, one of the hardest places to play in the country. I don't know I can give away 14.5 with Georgia, and as they haven't even covered once against bad teams with with a freshman quarterback who's never played on the road. But I certainly am not going to take Auburn in this situation against Georgia. I'm taking the under because I think both teams' offenses are going to struggle. Georgia's defense is going to absolutely shut down Auburn's offense, and Georgia should win this game pretty comfortably. But the under is going to hit.
Yeah, Peyton Thorne looked pretty good until he had to start playing SEC teams. And A&M dominated the Auburn offense, and they might have forced a QB battle this week. So I'm just not going to trust that they're going to get anything going again against Georgia, because Georgia's just a different animal. And I think that spread might be getting adjusted now that the books know what this Georgia team really is. Next is Bama at Mississippi State. You're getting plus 14.5. And I remember this game last year. It was in Bama. I don't know what the spread was, but I do remember taking Mississippi State as a double-digit dog. And they didn't cover then. Now, Will Rogers finished the South Carolina game with almost 500 yards passing on only 30 completions. But I find it hard to believe that he can do that sort of damage to Bama's DBs, since Jackson Dart struggled in that same exact spot last week. I saw Mississippi State ranks 105th nationally in penalty yards, and if it wasn't for a +3 turnover margin against Arizona, they would have lost that game outright. So it feels like for them to win, they're going to need the other teams to make as many or more mistakes than they do. So Bama might be down, but they're not completely lost. So I'd guess they try to limit Rodgers in the offense, slow the pace of the game down so that they don't get ripped deep like they did against Texas, and they're going to try to get out of this with a low-scoring win just like they did last week. So I'm going to ride the under here.
I think that's a good idea. 14.5 is kind of a lot of points for this Bama team to give, especially because their offense has not been particularly that impressive. But their defense really stepped up against Ole Miss. I think they heard what a lot of people were saying about their defense not being as good as Bama's has been in years past. And I think they really took that personally, and they're going to be playing a lot better this week. So I like the under here too.
And if you want to take the under on BroThrow, you can sign up in the description box below. It's free to sign up from any state in the U.S. No deposit required, no withdrawal fees, no minimum bets. You can take it at plus 100 odds. Same goes for the spread. So you bet 25, you win 25. There is no VIG. There are no fees. But yes, BroThrow. Click the link in the description box below to sign up. South Carolina at Tennessee, minus 12.5. I think Tennessee lost this one last year. So is it a revenge spot?
They not only lost this game, they lost it big time, 63-38. Spencer Rattler had 437 yards and 6 touchdowns. By far his best game ever. South Carolina, Oklahoma, high school, Pop Warner, Pee Wee. It was his best game ever by far. But Juice Wells, their number one receiver from that game, he had 177 yards. He's going to miss this week against Tennessee. He got injured in the first game of the season. Hasn't really played much since. And the USC defense has allowed 30-plus points to North Carolina and Mississippi State. Tennessee, as we know, they've got Joe Milton now at quarterback. They've got a big arm guy there. I think this game is going to be a shootout just like last year's was. I don't necessarily think that South Carolina is going to score 63 points themselves, but if each team is going to get in the 30s, like USC's allowed any good offense to do this year, and South Carolina's pretty much done themselves this year, then I think that South Carolina will be able to hit the over. So I like over 63.5 here.
I like it. Yeah. Last week they played a lot better. They scored 37 points. I know they gave up almost 500 yards passing to Mississippi State, but you know, maybe that's a good sign for the over. But thank you, Jake. I will see you in the next one, and hopefully some of these picks hit.